What's up, everybody? Are you a gamer who feels stuck posting the same thing over and over? Does your Insta look like this? Do you want to stand out amongst the horde of other gamers? Well, stick around because it's time to level up. Today, I'm going to show you how I turn this into this using Adobe After Effects. Now, some of you may ask, why After Effects? Why not Illustrator, Photoshop, or some other software? Well, we can definitely build this in those programs, but I wanted to choose one program where I can create designs, motion graphics, and even edit video. That way, if you're just starting out, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg paying for a bunch of different software. I believe Adobe After Effects is around $20 a month. If you get the Adobe Suite package, it's right around $50 a month. So anyway, let's jump into this edit. All right, first off, we're going to create a new composition. I click at this little button here, and I'm going to call this Gavel 2. And my aspect ratio is 1080 by 1080, and I'm going to hit OK. All right, and first I need to get that screenshot of our pistol, drop that in. And first thing off with this, what we're going to do is start keying it out. So I'm going to go up here and use the pen tool, which is also G on your keyboard. And then just zoom in, and I'm going to start cutting this out. So I'm going to start here at this corner, and then if we click and then hold and then drag, it'll give you these little toggles. So if there's rounded edges, that'll let you kind of adjust a little better to fit those. So click and drag, and then you can adjust those by going in and out a little bit, make that fit. And then I'm just going to work my way all around the entire pistol, being somewhat detailed. I'm probably going to skip ahead just so you don't have to watch me go through every single click, because this is going to take a little while, so I'm going to speed this part up. Alright, so I have gone through and gone all the way around this pistol and keyed everything else out on the outside. Looks pretty decent. The only thing is, we can see here there's a spot where the trigger guard is. There's still black in there, so I want to get rid of that. And if I go in and I select our layer and use the pen tool again and try creating another mask, it won't. So I'm going to undo that. So what we need to do is pre-comp this. So I'm going to right click on my layer and go to pre-compose, and then I'm going to make sure that move all attributes is selected, not leave all attributes, and then hit OK. And now I should be able to use the pen tool. Zoom in here and cut this out here. Okay, so now I've keyed that out, but the black has shown up and the pistol's gone away. So what I'm going to do is go back here and go to my mask, hit M. If you hit M twice, I believe it'll open up all these other options here. And you need to click this little box here that says inverted, and that'll flip it. I'm going to zoom back out. That doesn't look too bad. Alright, cool. So let's work on putting a little background in here. So we go layer, new, solid. And instead of doing the blue and orange look, let's switch it up a little. Let's do maybe like purple. Let's go like a darker purple here first. And it's already a comp size, and hit OK. And I'm going to drag this down to the bottom. And then I'm going to go layer, new, solid again. And I want more than one color in there. So I'm going to push this towards a pink, maybe a little magenta, a little brighter. I hit OK. That'll be cool. Okay, so now with that magenta layer selected, I'm going to go up here to the ellipse tool, and now it's already on the ellipse instead of one of these other shapes. If I just double click it, it'll create a perfect circle the size of that comp. So now with that mask from this magenta layer, I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to feather this just so I don't get that harsh line. Maybe a little more. Now there's a little, for me, it's a little too much pink in the middle, a little, not enough of that dark purple out there. So the mask expansion tool, I'm going to go down with that into the negative to bring that in a little, just to keep that highlight right there in the middle. All right, that'll work for now. Next up, let's throw some texture in there. Let's put our contour mapping in there. So don't like this color, obviously. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this teal. So with that layer selected, I'm going to go to Effect, and I'm going to go to Keying, Linear Color Key. And what this does is you can select a specific color, click on that, and it'll get rid of that color. And if you've got a layer with multiple colors, other colors that are close, you can adjust the tolerance and matching softness to get it just right. So now I'm going to bring that back behind the pistol. And I don't want it to stand out that much. You know what, maybe we won't even make it white. Let's make it more of a pink or something that kind of blends with the background a little bit more. So what we're going to do is, with this layer still selected, with the contour layer still selected, we're going to do Effect, and we're going to do Color Correction and Change to Color. Now, From and To. So From is already selected white, and I want to change it to maybe something pink, maybe a little bit brighter, so it still stands out in the middle, but not quite as much. Let's see what that looks like. And then go Hue, Saturation, and Lightness. And so it gets all kind of, I don't know, pixelated in there. I'm going to bring up that hue to 100%. That looks a little better. That's kind of cool. All right, one more thing with that layer. It kind of stands out too much to me still. So what I want to do is kind of give it a blur, so it's kind of like, looks like it's out of focus. So I'm going to go to Effect and go to Blur and Sharpen and Gauge and Blur. And with that, I'm just going to bring that up to maybe 20 and see what that looks like. Maybe not quite that much. I'm going to try like 12. That's better. So you can still see what's back there, but it's not what's in focus. The pistol's in focus. Okay. Let's see. What else do we want to do? I want to add another set of color to this, kind of a contrasting color. So let's go Layer, New, Solid, and click on that color box. I'm going to do like a green. Not quite that bright. There we go. Okay, and okay again. And now with this, I want to just kind of maybe just do something in the corners, just so it's an accent of color, not overpowering too much. So what I'm going to do with this green layer still selected is go to Effect, Transition, Effect, Transition, and Linear Wipe. And click on that. And I'm going to change the angle of the wipe to 45 degrees. And then Transition Completion, what I'm doing now is holding Shift and hitting up on the arrow button until I go all the way up into this corner here. Maybe like, yeah, maybe about 90. That looks good. All right, and then what I'm going to do too is offset this with the other side too. So what I'm going to do is, with this layer selected, hit on a Mac Command D. So I'm going to duplicate. So I have two of these now. So with this top layer, what I'm going to do is flip it so it's not 45 degrees over here. I'm going to go this corner, which I think is 225. Yeah, there we go. So now we've got our green accents in each corner. Let's see, one more thing. Let's let's break that up just a little bit. Let's go layer, new, solid, and let's just do a white solid. Okay. And I'm going to make this down right below the green layer. And what I want to do is just have it just show just a little bit of a line there. So what I'm going to do is go to the green solid, select the linear wipe effect, copy it, go to the white layer, paste it, and then I need to adjust this just a little bit. Yeah, maybe just one, so it just pops out a little bit. And then I'm going to duplicate this for the other side. So I'm going to select my white layer, duplicate, Command D, and then switch this back to 45 degrees. And there we go. Kind of breaks it up from that green to that purple, like that. Cool. Let's do one more thing. Layer, new, solid, another white solid. And with this one, I'm going to bring it down below the weapon. I want to cut this diagonally the other way. So effect, transition, linear wipe. And with this one, I'm going to go down, I think it's 135, I think is in this corner. And 50% the completion for this transition. So that way it cuts it halfway the other way. Except I don't want it to be that solid. I want to make it opaque. So I'm going to click on this layer and hit T, which brings up my opacity. And I'm going to bring that down maybe like 10 or 20%. Maybe 15. Let's go half that. Cool. That works. Alright, so the background's starting to come together a little bit. Let's work more on this pistol itself. So I've got the pistol layer selected. Let's work on this color correction here a little bit. So I'm going to go Effect, Color Correction, and where is it? Lumetri Color. And then I'm going to open up the basic correction. And I want to bring up that saturation just so it doesn't look quite so dull, because I really want this thing to pop. And then exposure, I'm going to bring that up a bit just so it's not quite so dim. Push the contrast, and these you can just kind of play with these color correction tools in here and just see what it does. If you go too far, it looks like it's okay. That's too much, you know. It depends on your personal preference. So I'm gonna just adjust these a little just to make these pop a little more. And maybe you'll mess with the temperature and bring that up so it's a little warmer. Cool, that's starting to come together. So look, if I click this FX button and turn this effect off, there's the original, and there's afterwards where it's a little bit more vibrant. That looks cool. I still want to make this pistol pop off the screen a little more. So what I'm going to do is select the layer and duplicate it, Command D. And then with the top layer, I'm going to go to Layer, Layer Styles, and I want to do Outer Glow. And now this shows up down here on our layer, Outer Glow. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to turn screen to normal. And then I want the color. I'm just going to make that white. And let's see what we can do here. The spread, I'm going to bring that up a bit. And size, bring that up. It's still kind of opaque. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, the opacity is at 75%. I'm going to bring that up to 100%. So we get this kind of cartoon like white outline around it. That doesn't look too bad. Maybe bring this down a little. Range. I'm going to bring the range all the way down so it's a very harsh line. And then maybe just a little less, maybe not quite 16, maybe like maybe 10 on that size. Cool, that works. I'll close that up. And then now I've got these two layers. So that first layer is the one, if I minimize this, the little eyeball, make it so you can't see it. That's your top, that's your bottom layer right there. This is our top layer. So with the bottom layer, I want to have some sort of drop shadow to make it stand out against the background. So I've got this bottom layer of the pistol selected, and I'm going to go up here to layer, layer styles, drop shadow. And now you can't see it yet, but we need to kind of expand that. Layer styles, drop shadow, and distance. I'm going to bring that up a bit, like 25, like 30. And then spread, I'm going to boost that so it doesn't look so quite so harsh. Actually, you know what? Let me make the size more so we can just kind of spread that. And then just got to adjust these different options here within the distance, spread, and size to get it the way that you like it right here. That looks pretty good. I'm going to close that one up. Cool, we're getting somewhere. Let's see, you know what? I don't want this green to be the only green on here, so I'm going to add some sort of other texture in here. So I'm going to go back to my project file. I have a texture right here that I'm just going to drag and drop right on top here. As you can see, if I zoom out, it's a very large image. So what I'm going to do is select that layer and hit S for scale. And I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Okay. That might work right there. All right, so as you can see, it's like a kind of a dark gray color, but I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is change that color. So I'm going to have that layer selected, go to Effect, Color Correction, change to color. I'm going to use my selector tool, try and get that, where is it, that gray. Okay, yeah, there we go, have that charcoal. I'm going to switch this over to this green and go to Hue, Lightness, and Saturation, and bump up the hue so it gets all of it. And let's go back here, let's select the layer. I'm going to scale this a little bit more. Let's see. Actually, I kind of like it. Move this around, find a nice spot for it to live. Let's try that, and then let's bring this layer back down here behind the green and white, because I don't want to cover up the white, or you won't cover up the pistol itself. Cool, so that's helping a little bit. I'm going to bring that down just a bit. So I'm going to select that texture and hit T for opacity, and I'm going to bring that down a little, just so it's not quite so vibrant. Maybe like 60%, that's not so bad. And I still want to add another sort of interesting texture or something in the background here, just to kind of fill it in a little more. So what I'm going to do is go back to my ellipse tool and select that, and I'm going to click and then hold shift. So if I just click, it just goes wherever size it wants to, but if I hold shift, it'll keep it as a perfect circle. So I'm going to make this a small circle. Now let's see what that looks like. Let me get closer here. Okay, cool. So I've got this little circle, and I'm going to change the fill color to that same green, the eyedropper tool, hit OK. And what I'm going to do now is I've got that layer selected, and I'm going to duplicate this multiple times. So Command D, and I'm going to duplicate this like 10 times. So now I've got 10 of them stacked on top of each other. So with this top one, I'm going to click on it, hold shift, and then I'm going to move this over here to the right. And let me zoom out so I can see a little better. Keep moving this out to the right. That's probably good. And now what I'm going to do is I've got this spread out, and I want to distribute these evenly, all 10 of them, so there's kind of like a row of dots here. So what I'm going to do is select all 10 layers, and on the bottom here there's a line. So if you don't see this align option on your page, make sure you go to Window, Workspace, or sorry, once you open Window, and make sure Align is checked. And once that's checked, you've got your 10 layers selected. At the bottom here, there's Distribute Horizontally. So I'm going to click on this button here, and what it does is it'll spread them out evenly. So that's kind of cool. So now what I'm going to do is select those 10 layers, duplicate, and I'm going to move those down. And then I'm going to duplicate again, Command D, move those down. That works. Cool. All right, so you know what I'm going to do, instead of what I want to do now is kind of move these around, but I don't want to have to sit there and try and click on all of them each time I want to do that, so I'm going to pre-compose this. So I'm going to select all those 30 layers, and I'm going to right click, go to pre-compose, and make sure move all attributes is selected, and hit OK. Now I'm going to change that color green. My pre-comp is these 30 dots all in one layer, so I can move these all around wherever I want. So what I'm going to do is maybe put one right down here, and then put this behind that layer of the green and white in the corner. And I don't want it to be solid, so I'm going to bring the opacity down by hitting T and bring that down maybe like 60. And you know, I'm also going to add a little bit of blur to this as well. So I've got that layer still selected. Go Effect, Blur and Sharpen, Gauge and Blur. And I think that what I did last time was 12. Yeah, that's not bad. That way it's a little out of focus, but it's still there. So I'm going to select that layer. I'm going to hit Command D, duplicate it. And I'm going to put another one up here in about the same spot. Cool. Now the background's starting to come together. Let's see, what else can we do? We need to add some sort of text to all this. So let's see. Let's go to our text tool and call this, what is it, the Gavel. And I'm going to select it, and I'm going to center this so we can see what we're doing. Let's try something different with this font. Let's do Quantify. If you're tired of using the same fonts that come stock with your Adobe software, you can use DaFont.com, which I can put a link in the description if you like. They have a bunch of free fonts that you can use, download, which is kind of nice because after a while you kind of get tired of using the exact same fonts. So let's change this. I'm going to change, see how spread out these letters are? The kerning is way off. So I'm going to change that back to normal, 0. Hit Enter. And let's make this text a little bit larger. That's cool. All right. Let's give a drop shadow to this just so it stands out a little bit more. So I have the Gavel text selected. Go to Layer, Layer Styles, and Drop Shadow. That way it just kind of pops a little bit more. Cool. Let's see. Let's duplicate this text. We'll do another one down here. Let's make this, I don't know, 80 point font. And then This is a upgraded 50 cal, so let's say something about that. Upgraded 50 cal. Cool. So I want to spread those apart so it's a little, not quite touching there. So I select that layer, and right here where there's a little arrow, A above A kind of thing, you set the leading, and I'm going to move that up to 80. That works. It still feels like there's still like a lot of empty space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the two layers that are make up this pistol, and I'm going to hit S for scale, and I'm going to bring this up a little. Yeah, about 110%. I don't want to go too much because I don't want to pixelate this, but that'll work. And then, you know, I'm going to hit R, and that'll bring up rotation for those two layers of this pistol. And I want to rotate this a little, just so it's not perfectly straight. That's kind of cool. 8%, yeah, at an 8-degree angle. And I'm going to put that there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with the text, so it kind of lines up with it better. So I've selected both text layers and hit R. And I'm going to go down -8 so that those line up. And then move this over a little. Cool. It's looking pretty good. One more thing I want to add is our handle. And I'm going to go ahead and another text down here. And with this one, let's make this a lot smaller. I'm going to go back to a more standard text. I like Futura. Let's see. Here we go. Futura. Maybe not condensed, maybe just like a medium. That looks pretty good. Let's definitely make it smaller. And then with that text selected, I'm hit R. Go down to -8, so it lines up with the rest of the text. Enter. Maybe just in this corner, kind of hanging out here. You know what? Let's give this a little bit of help. So up here in the ellipse tool, click and hold, and you can switch it over to a different shape. So let's go rectangle tool, and then with that selected, I'm going to draw a little box here. And then with that box selected, I'm going to hit R, rotate to -8, so it lines up with everything else. And then I'm going to put that box behind the text. And you know, I want to flip these. Okay, so this box, I don't like this green so much. I'm going to switch that out. So I switch this color of the box. I'm going to go white. And then I'm going to go to the text, use my eyedropper tool, and find this purple that's back behind the box. That looks nice. And I'm just going to move this text around so it's nicely lined up. And I'm going to make that text, give that a shadow too. Go to Layer, Layer Style, Drop Shadow. Let's see what that looks like. Let's adjust that just a little bit so it's not quite so far away since it's such small text. There we go. That's better. All right, we're looking pretty good here. So we went from posting this to posting this with your style. So thanks for watching. If you learned something, let me know. If you got any questions or maybe thoughts on other things that you'd like to see built, that you're having trouble with, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.